All right, hi guys. Here we are, last week of the semester. We have made it. Can you believe it, huh? I just want to take a moment in this last video. Well, first, before launching into my final goodbye lecture, I just want to make a few housekeeping announcements. Talk about them here. Hopefully this is useful. But right, what a crazy semester we've had. Here we are at the end, we've made it. And I am probably more sad than any of you how things had to end, that we weren't able to continue our face-to-face meetings. Because I will say that sitting here in my office talking to my phone by myself is not nearly as good or as fun or as productive as being in class with all of you, where all I had to do was throw out a couple of questions and you all would just respond with the best and most interesting and most insightful comments. I loved our discussions. I loved your interest and your enthusiasm and all of the fascinating ideas that all of you brought up this semester. So even with the craziness, I just want to say that this class really has been the best teaching experience of my career so far. And all of you were such a big part of making this class so fun for me. And I just want to thank you for that opportunity. Okay, right, housekeeping announcements first. So let's talk about grades for a second. I hope all of you are aware that you have until December to decide if you would like to take this course for credit or no credit. So you'll be able to see your final grades before you make that decision. And I am not sure what implications are for any of you as far as your degrees or your programs or your or major requirements or anything like that. So you'll need to find the right people, the right advisors, academic advisors, or whoever to talk to you about that if you have questions about that sort of stuff. But I'm hoping that the majority of you are, and it feels like the majority of you are still working towards just getting a good grade and going for credit in this course. So I've tried to make our transition to online go as smoothly as possible and be as flexible as possible for you guys. I've basically eased all due dates at this point. I still have due dates there because I've got to grade stuff at some time. But honestly, at this point, if you get any late work into me, I will most likely accept it. My goal is to get grades finished up and calculated by the end of finals week next week. So do try to have all of your stuff in by then if you have any late work that's lingering before the end of finals week. All right. Go ahead and check, make sure that you check on Blackboard what's missing. I am working on getting everything uploaded, so I don't necessarily have everything in right now, but keep checking back and make sure that I haven't missed something or you haven't missed something, or there aren't any blanks in the grade book. Because if there are blanks, figure out what it is you're missing. You can get it in at any point, or you can ask me if you have any questions about what's going on with your grades. Okay. So this is a question that comes up occasionally, but for those of you who are familiar with English courses, don't know if you're expecting this or not, there is no final in this course, right? So once you complete your final project, Unit 3 final project, that's going to be it for this course. I originally had things a little differently. We were going to do final presentations that were going to sort of operate as a final, but thanks to the craziness of everything, sort of dropped that. So we're just doing these final projects. Once you get those in, that's it. You are done with this course. So those final projects are due this Friday. The submission link for that will become available on Thursday, May 7th. So make sure that you get that submitted, okay? I am looking forward so much to seeing all of your finished products, to seeing your projects in their final states. It was really fun to read through the drafts that you sent me last week. A lot of you, all of you, honestly, have really great projects. So this is really exciting. And I hope that we're clear on expectations at that point and that you get some good feedback from your peer review partners this week. But if you have any questions pop up, always feel free to email me. And I'm really hoping that a good majority of you will be able to join us for the optional Zoom meeting on Thursday. And for whoever shows up, I will be asking you to just share a little bit about your final project, because I would really like you to see, or at least hear about, the work that your peers are doing, because there's some fun stuff going on in this class. So I hope you can join us for that final class discussion, a little bit of a show and tell, and also a chance to really say our final goodbyes. Oh, I have one final reminder about grades. Okay, don't want to forget about this. Don't you forget that this course is weighted. All of the unit projects are weighted, and then all of the in-class assignments are weighted in their own column. And all of that information is on the syllabus, so you can go back and take a look at that if you want to, but you should know that what's on Blackboard right now does not represent that weighted grade. It's just raw scores right now on Blackboard. So it's because Blackboard is a little bit funky about how it does weighting. I've had problems with it in the past, so I usually wait until the very end of the semester to input the weight of each column. So if you are super anxious about knowing what your weighted grade is going to be, you can look at the syllabus and look at the percentages, and you can try to calculate the grade yourself, or you can just wait till the end of finals week when hopefully I'll have that weighted grade updated on Blackboard. Or you can email me at any point if you have any specific questions about what's going on with your grade, okay? All right, one final announcement is just a plug to don't forget to do your course evaluations. They're all online this year. You should have gotten an email about it. They're really simple this year. They've simplified it. It's short and easy, and I think you have until Sunday, May 10th, to take it. Those are always really important to the university. They always really appreciate your feedback, so I encourage you to do that, and don't forget about it, okay? All right, so time for just a little closing lecture, or just things I hope you take away with you from this course this semester. The question that inspired me to design this course, and is the question that you've all been so diligently exploring in your final papers. That big question of what is the relationship between language and magic? I guess more specifically, I'd been wondering about the same questions that Cratylus and Socrates were discussing when we read Plato way back at the beginning of the semester. And it's that question of, is language conventional and arbitrary collection of sounds, that's just randomly assigned to concepts, and we use these words or these names just because we've all sort of agreed to call it that? Is that what language is? Or is language more inherent than that? Does language actually have a real objective connection with the nouns and concepts that it symbolizes? Well, I mean, we know from Saussure that language is arbitrary, right? We all pretty much accept that. It is conventional. There is not an essential connection between the signifier and the signified. It's actually one of the coolest things about language, because it means that language can evolve and it can change, and that makes things really interesting, right? Really, really fascinating that our language can change and evolve because it is conventional, because it is just about what we all agree to call something. The problem is that also makes language slippery. It makes it hard to grasp. It makes it ineffective. And if you remember, what Socrates and Cratylus really wanted to know was, how can you speak truth? if language is conventional? How can we know what we're talking about? How can we actually communicate? If meanings and concepts can slip and slide, and if words can evolve and change meaning, if I say a word and you think of something entirely different than what I think of when I say that word, then what good is language? It seems pretty ineffective, pretty imprecise. And yet, I look at these magic stories and consistently see this pattern of language doing things. True names giving power, spells commanding the elements, demons being summoned, writing, changing a table or a window, books holding souls, and I wonder why. Why do we do that in our magic stories? Why do we give language power in our magic stories if in reality it doesn't have that power? And I think the answer that many of you have identified in your projects, and the answer that I've been dancing around all semester, is that even if language is arbitrary and conventional, it still has actual, real power, at least in our human society. We talked about speech act theory, right? We can say I do and it means we're married. We can speak words that make someone else cry or laugh or feel something. We can speak 1,000 different languages and still find ways to understand each other. We can read a poem and it can take our breath away. If language has this kind of power on us, then it really isn't so very hard to believe that language can have that kind of power over spirits, or the trees, or the stars, or the moon, the sun. Language is perhaps the most powerful thing that we have as a human race, and we feel that, we recognize that. So we write these stories that show just how far we conceive of that power reaching. Now, I'm not saying that magic is real, and I'm not trying to get you to believe that. That wasn't the goal of this course. But I think a goal of this course was to get us to think about how powerful language actually can be. It may or may not be able to command the universe and bend it to our will, but it certainly can impact the humans around us, which, to be honest, is quite miraculous itself. So language may be imprecise and slippery, but somehow it still works. Somehow we still talk, and we mostly, some of the time, are able to understand each other. And not all the time. There's still lots of misunderstanding out there, lots of miscommunication, lots of problems around that, but honestly, it's still quite magical that it works some of the time. We can know each other, and we know each other through language, and that's powerful. So I just want to say it has been such a pleasure this semester thinking through these ideas and exploring these books and these stories with you. And I just want to thank you so much for what a joy it's been. I sincerely hope to see you at our Zoom meeting on Thursday. But if not, then I look forward to seeing your final projects, reading through your final course reflections, getting your feedback there. And if you ever need anything from me in the future, like letters of recommendation or advice or just someone to bounce ideas off of or anything, I am here for you. You have my email. So I hope you enjoy the rest of your summer, and I wish all of you the best luck with your futures, both short term in the craziness that continues, and also in your long-term future lives. I wish you all the best.